Hello dear friends, this will be a very practical video with step-by-step instructions what to do when one is under psychic attack by evil spirits, by black magic or anything similar. Actually, lately, since couple of years, we are all hammered with such attacks constantly. It is just a question of at which point one will categorize it as such and will decide to take extra measures. Of course, there are professionals who offer the service of chasing the ghosts away or canceling the black magic, and some of them may have success. The only problem is that even if they do, as you leave their place, the spirit will come back. Or if they have done a really good job, after a short while you will get very likely similar or the very same problem if you have not removed the anchors by which they managed to get you at the first place. By anchors, I mean what are the points where they can stretch their tentacles from hell and grab you here in this reality. It's a very good idea to learn how to do such things yourself, because within a couple of short years you may not find such professionals anymore, and even if you do, they might be too busy dealing with their own problems, because if they remain loyal to the side of the light, and I'm making this video for such people, only the possessed people, there is nothing that can help them. So there will be good shamans who will remain loyal to God until the end, but they will be under extreme severe attacks. At least a pair of devils will keep a vigil around them at all times, looking for opportunities. The devils will cluster in a group around the people of the Lord, because all the others, they will be on autopilot. They will commit crimes as dictated, the thoughts are being dictated automatically by the cool, entertaining techno-gadgets. Before we start, a very short cover of the current situation of the madness taking over. Big Bro Google now has a very convenient, for whom, tool that will automatically correct everything you type. And just see how fantastic it is. It will not only be reading every word you type, but it will be telling you what to type. For now, they will give you suggestions. The examples they themselves give is to make you more open to loving the homosexuals, and why not join them? However, as we know that the government cares for us on so many levels, I'm sure they will be using it to suggest us other things as well. And the elegance of the entire thing is that it will seamlessly blend, yeah? Your thoughts will be kind of dictated, but it will be kind of melting within each other, so you will not exactly recognize when and what is corrected and what comes from you and what is suggested. And don't you even worry that you may miss out on this super booper thing. Not only it will be free, but it is on by default, it seems already. You better download all the episodes with the prophecies until you can, until they're in their original form, because as you know, they fake voices, and who knows when will they correct the prophecies without even informing us. Faking my voice, why not? They're already admitting that they are doing it to some extent, so who knows when will they refashion all the YouTube videos. And the devils are getting more and more aggressive and seem to be in hurry more and more. If you remember, they were trying to push some sort of internet ID in Europe some months ago, but they didn't succeed. And now they're reporting that, oh, now we've made and voted and accepting something even better. Already openly talking about universally accepted public electronic identity to use internet, or the features of internet which may give access to spreading the truth. And really, they are keeping vigil to think what to do for us. Here is the latest idea. cage the people up. It was coming up in few prophecies, if you remember, that people will be confined to their homes. And in Shanghai, that is accepting a real shape now without any warning. They just sealed the homes they choose. And whose homes? Well, of course, the government is deciding whose. And if it looks bad to you, these are actually the lucky ones. The others, they got already moved to facilities where nobody knows what's happening. We hear they say euthanization together with the pets, but I would be more worried for those people in such facilities who do not get euthanized. And Europe will follow the example of Shanghai. People are accepting it, voting for it. In France, they voluntarily appointed the same person who is bringing this type of policies. And don't automatically say, oh, surely another rigged election. Not so much. Actually, although the person who got chosen again for a second term doesn't really have the support of the people, actually the other smaller parties, they somehow united and told their sheep to vote for him. So we don't even know if there was any need to rig the elections. And in the previous episode, we heard about rationing water on country level. Now it starts even with rationing electricity in Europe. And it is all blamed on Putin. But if they would have allowed, if they were not blocking certain media from the person they blame, it would become obvious that the lies about that story are also substantial. Here on this channel, they are broadcasting direct from the front line of the battle. So you can see for yourself the civilians speaking. And of course, the devils are trying to convince us that it is happening exactly the opposite of what actually is. And if you think that, oh, that's a local problem, doesn't really concern me, the news, it is coming to your door, and they're already organizing the armies of the people who will be doing the atrocities in the same way as they trained the criminals in Ukraine beforehand. In both Europe and America, for all kinds of reasons. In Europe, it is, for example, fake Ukrainian passports to actually import criminals from other completely different continents into Europe who will be serving the purpose now that the devil's army is doing in Ukraine. They're now coming in great numbers. Of course, they're housing them in luxury hotels. And while the people are distracted by the current hoaxes, you see, it's like a headline: the war in Ukraine, bugs, the climate hoax, it's ever fresh, sophisticated hoax. So under the umbrella of the big distractions, the implants are actually becoming a reality, and the way they portray it in the articles is like heroes. Oh, they got implanted a few years ago, and now they just enter the store, and the people in the queue are in awe when they see somebody paying just by waving his hand, really like a magic, huh? And if you are not yet ready for an implant, well, you can have it just as a part of your manicure, a milder version, getting you ready for the hard one. So if you're still in a city, hopefully these images will serve as a wake-up call, and also the footage from what is happening in the Ukrainian cities. All this is privilege to the city dwellers. Flee until you can. And now to the actual subject of the video: how to get rid of possession and black magic. So these are the points which I'm gonna cover shortly. The first few being very important. And if you wonder why the spells and the mantras are somewhere in the middle and not the main thing, the reason is that in the Kali Yuga, in the fast food spirituality, simply not too many people give it a thought that if you want to uproot a bush, first it will be a good idea to dig all around it and then try pulling. Pulling on its own, especially done by laymen, non-professionals, will rarely have success. So the two principal ways of help penetrating Earth now are alcohol and technology. With alcohol, if you really want to get rid of the black magic or the spirit which is troubling you, you simply have to quit all alcohol and not even keep any in the house whatsoever. At least for drinking purposes, for disinfection it is okay. And those who still believe actually the parasitic propaganda that I'm drinking too little to affect my consciousness, so in my case is okay, such people will eventually in 5 or 10 years realize that they could have skipped lots of trouble by quitting alcohol altogether earlier, and at that time they will admit, yes, the deal was really not worth. And that's true for all the Jalik Tamasic deals. As far as technology, at least follow these steps. Don't have Wi-Fi on, at least as much as it is under your control, unless it is absolutely necessary. Don't, for example, leave the router on all night or have it constantly on the cell phone. Now, the cell phone is particularly dangerous and you should minimize its usage as much as possible. But when you have to use it, always use a holder. For example, they have thicker anti-shock cases or covers, and then they have these stick-on holders at the back. Use them both. Never ever even think of carrying it in the pocket or in any way directly near your body. Keep it at a distance as much as possible, and when you use it, the best is to keep it in the corridor, not in the room where you are. Never sleep with the cell phone in your room or even daytime. And I can tell you from experience, because I feel the devilish frequencies in the phone very clearly, nothing vague or faint sensation. I can tell you they're very dangerous. When you touch the body of the phone, then it's like a really energy of pain immediately penetrating into the body. Especially their biometric devices. That is a real tentacle of hell. Biometry, that means hell. This is the actual plugin, which is the direct interface between the devils and your consciousness. So many of us have biometric passports. We didn't know when we took them, but now that we know, say no to all kinds of biometric offers in any form of any description. And if it becomes unavoidable, like you won't be able to function in the society unless you get the given certificate, take that as a sign of the universe that it is a time for you to pack up and leave the given situation. As far as TV sets, the icons of the Antichrist, there is still one positive thing about them, and that is that they still can be sold on the second-hand market, nothing else. This merit of theirs will not last long, so I hope you take the appropriate action. And a final note on computer usage. Minimize it, of course, as much as possible, and try to keep the computer at least 1.5 meters away from your head, preferably 2. You can adjust the screen resolution, and also the browsers, they have settings with bigger minimal fonts, so you can still read even from 2 meters distance, and that will reduce a lot the way they affect you with the devilish frequencies with the computer, and also avoid an eye contact. Don't never use cordless earbuds or Bluetooth. Those are of course Also, anything wireless is more harmful than wired. And avoid eye contact with the computer screen or any of the snouts of the techno monsters. Let's say if you work on a computer as profession and you have to often think about something with the computer still being on, don't look at the screen when you can avoid it while thinking or doing some other part of your job. Now, cleanliness is next to godliness. Exactly like a noble and refined person will feel uncomfortable and will want to leave as soon as possible messy, dirty, smelly house, that's how the evil spirits and in general the patterns of the black magic, that's how they feel in orderly, clean houses. And the symbols, they're very powerful, not just because they influence the mood or thoughts only when one looks at them. They have other also magical powers, a little bit too long to explain now, but it's very important to get rid of all kinds of aggressive military symbols, like maybe you have a photo of some cool pirates from a favorite movie, or your rock star has them. It's very common for pop stars to wear devilish symbols, so they might be hidden somewhere in the posters in your house. That is an absolute must to be ceremonially removed. You can even burn them. And not only symbols, any type of art which promotes headaches and disharmony, or let's say posters with angry pop singers. Unfortunately, all these are very active gateways, stargates to the lower regions of our world. And it is very important to take shelter in the symbols of the benevolent God. If you are Muslim, have a big Hamsa sign or otherwise place somewhere at the central place a symmetric cross like the cross of the Cathars or some of the ancient Slavic symbols, and also images of the saints. This is very important. Why is it important? Imagine how a decent person would feel in the company of a very cruel criminal. Very, very uncomfortable, thinking of an excuse how to leave at any moment. That's how the evil spirits feel in front of the images of the saints. And also wear one of the symbols of the benevolent God at all times, without interruption, on your body always. For example, I have painted a Qatar cross on a crystal with the dragon's blood tree sap and put a tape on it covering so that the inscription doesn't fall off. The only thing you have to be careful with is how to select the saints whose images you will hang on your wall. Don't select Mother Teresa, for example, who was a paid person funneling millions into the treasury of the Vatican and not practicing what she preaches. When you place a symbol, for example, the symmetric cross, on a central place in your dwelling, and you really take it very seriously that you take shelter in that symbol, that will give it an immense magic power by its own, independently. That's how it was with the ancient people. They had the magic power of the benevolent God as the main thing in their residence, and it protected them. Now, reducing anger, including justified anger, is also very important because this is the main tamasic shackle. It is in your best interest not only in fighting black magic and possession, but also in having lesser problems in life of any type, to simply say goodbye to anger forever. Just cancel it out of your life. If they insult you, just tell them, yes, you're just right. I am a bad person, and put an end to the conversation. And another thing which you should at least work on reducing, are all addictions. Because by definition, addiction is something which kind of controls you against your will. As you notice, it is very similar to black magic and possession, controlling against your will. If you have any addictions, the devils will use them as tools to control you, and it will be custom tailored for you only. So that's one thing you have to put an end if you really want to be free and independent soul. For example, in this playlist, there is a practical step-by-step instructions how to get rid of the sugar addiction, something which more than 99% of the modern men have. And then we reach the next point, smudging. You better smudge your entire house daily. Smudging herbs are too expensive in Europe. When one cannot procure such things, then one should use natural resin incense. And if that is difficult as well, at least get some tea tree essential oil, which you can place in something like this with a few spoons of water. Other pure and natural essential oil may also work. Palo Santo will also definitely do. And when nothing else is there, even dried simple garden salvia. So if you have followed the steps outlined so far properly, the evil spirit or the black magic is at least uncomfortable around you and your place. And now is the time to invite them to find their way away from your existence. The best way is with mantras, or for example, if you're Muslim, probably you could try the Rokia. This is an English translation of the Воскресния молитва, which is the main Orthodox prayer recommended by Otrog Vyacheslav. As far as Vedic mantras, that is what I use. And the most famous one for the purpose we need in India is definitely Hanuman Chalisa, and this is the one I definitely find most effective for all purposes actually. But if you have more faith in some other Kavacha or Siddhukunjaka Stotra, then they may end up being more effective for you personally. I remember in Peru, the local shamans were using petrol as last resort for fighting black magic. It was during one retreat. All of a sudden, with foreigners present, there was a fire and smell of petrol, and everybody except the shaman was confused, but later on he explained what actually happened. Very evil, malevolent spirit was bothering him ceremony after ceremony, and he expected him this time too, and he got prepared, filled up his mouth with petrol, and when the spirit came, he showered it with the petrol and put on the lighter, everything on fire. And then the American owner of the retreat was trying to explain to the 8-year-old man that, you see, we have people with fluffy hairdos here. They may catch fire. At least in the area of Pucallpa, the petrol was considered the ultimate remedy when nothing else helps. And it's really very powerful. I just don't know anything about the spirit of the petrol as such, so it's just a curiosity, not something which I recommend. And back to the topic of the mantras, I will try to include links, probably a playlist with all kinds of mantras. These two I'm using to purify the space. I find them very, very effective. Just try to set up your music system in such a way that the device doesn't kind of look at you with its snout, and it's not physically located near you. The previous video ended with the Varahi protection mantra, and I will try to record more. And also, I hope to find time soon to make a video on microdosing sacred plants. Of course, there are also countless indigenous rituals for repelling all kinds of evil, and in that case, the success will depend on three factors. First of all, how well was carried out the ritual, the way it was performed. Second, your faith in it. And third, the strength of the magic power intrinsically contained in the given ritual, usually given to it by its designer. That's why often Christian prayers and Vedic mantras, probably up to half of the mantra, the content of the mantra will be explaining who actually composed the mantra in the ritual, or who gave this mantra to the people, because that is extremely important. The Lord makes sure that whatever the saints have promised to the people in terms of effectiveness of a given ritual does work, because the Lord keeps his promises and the saints are his representatives. And by saints I mean those whom I have featured in the prophecies videos, those who proved with their lives that they're indeed genuine, not like Mother Teresa type professional TV saints who were conjured by the media just to pollute the meaning of the very word saint in the eyes of the people. Now, becoming vegetarian will also help you in long run to get rid of black magic in possession, but it will be too slow. It's not that you will decide from today, or at least that's very unlikely, and you do become a vegetarian and you expect to get free of possession within 1 week. That is not likely to work, as diet remains one of the minor factors. And the same is working more with the sacred plants. I'll try to make one more video on this. And the next point is actually getting cats to guard you from evil spirits. Now, the different races of cats, and you can recognize the race by the color, by its pattern, they have different abilities. For example, the best cat guardians are actually the black ones, because they are way more intelligent than all cats and way more mature. They are like the old souls amongst the cats. Probably that's why medieval medicine men were depicted with a couple of black cats in the backyard. Of course, love is what will eventually melt possession and black magic, and the cats of love are those of a pure ginger, red color. So they will love you most out of all types of cats, but they're too friendly even to invaders. So they may not be the most active guards. The white and white mixtures, including red and white, they're a bit too proud. I had a number of them in different continents, not that they were all relatives and that's why they had the same habit, but the habit was to really sleep on the top of my head, like treating me like a hunting trophy. You see what kind of huge she dinosaur I brought down. So the white cats are a bit too selfish. The gray ordinary tiger cats, they're not selfish, they are loyal, but they keep a bit of more distance from the people. They don't get that much attached. So you can't rely solely on having cats to repel black magic, but it is definitely one of the minor factors. I've had few occasions on which cats actually chased away spirits with bad intentions. Now, crystals will surely have some influence on the access of malevolent patterns and entities in your space. But probably in most cases it will not work like starting to wear the crystal and the spirit is gone, because it should be a particular type of crystal and of particular quality and also rather large. So keeping transparent colorless crystals in as bigger quantity as possible at home will certainly work against possession. Crystals of any color, that can be gamble. You can see why in this series. And also all kinds of magic and Vastu Shastra and Feng Shui objects will have some influence, but in general it will be difficult or impossible which one exactly and of what size and quality you need to get rid of the problem you're targeting. That's why Vastu and Feng Shui will rarely make dramatic difference for laymen, while crystals have a much higher chance to make a dramatic difference, because at least we have this simple rule that powerful, transparent, colorless crystals will be helpful for anybody. Try to wear a necklace of natural quartz or topaz around your forehead. For the more sensitive people, that will make tangible difference from day one. So to summarize, say no to anger and alcohol completely, restrict technology, clean your house and body of all satanic symbols, have your house spotlessly clean and tidy without any bad odors, install an image of an old cross, the ancient symbols, or the Hamsa. You can print one or you can make one with your own hands. Wear also the symbol constantly on your body and then start chanting the prayer of your choice. Maybe 4 times a day Hanuman Chalisa in front of the image, or 16 times Воскресная молитва. And if all this is done with sincerity, in most cases it will give results in 1 or 2 weeks. If it doesn't, then you may have simply too severe of a problem. Then you may try to identify the exact Stargate which hell is using in your case, which is way more difficult than most New Age writings suggest. You can do that only by yourself after you hear carefully or read all the books of Jane Roberts, all of them. You can find them for free on the Team Heart channel. And then if you add to the equation sacred plants, which I'm going to explain hopefully shortly in an upcoming video, then you will simply realize what you read in these books. Getting cat guardians and becoming vegetarian and wearing and using crystals are not compulsory, but they may help you. The last time I was personally under intense attack was in January last year, when a spirit was trying to strangle me every night when my body is sleeping and I was away dreaming. At that time, since I was already doing the things which I recommended anyway, I needed something new, and that new thing for me at that time happened to be the Sananga drops. In Europe, you can get them from Maya Ethnobotanicals. Get the mild ones. Probably when they will be strong, you can dilute with distilled water. But Sananga is a magical visionary plant, so no wonder it helps in removing black magic.